It was a chilly evening in downtown Boston, the kind of night when the city's neon lights shimmered on rain-slicked streets, and the distant hum of traffic blended with laughter spilling from Café Tilde Copyright S, the kind of night that feels alive with quiet possibility. Nestled between a tiny bookstore and a dimly lit bakery, a small jazz club glowed like a hidden treasure, its windows fogged with warmth. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of espresso, old wood, and the faint tang of cigarette smoke, a heady mix that jazz aficionados knew well. The crowd, a mixture of students, artists, and night owls, leaned into the low hum of conversation and clinking glasses, unaware that history was quietly unfolding among them. At the corner of the club, tucked beside a brick wall adorned with black and white photographs of jazz legends, sat a modest piano. Behind it, a young man adjusted his jacket and ran his fingers lightly over the keys. There was a calmness in his posture, a quiet confidence that didn't demand attention but naturally drew it. The music that soon filled the room was gentle, hypnotic, a tender mix of melancholic blues and playful jazz improvisations. The audience leaned in, not knowing they were listening to the future President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. At the time, Kennedy was still largely unknown to the public. A senator from Massachusetts with political ambitions simmering quietly beneath the surface. Yet that night, politics were irrelevant. He was simply a man, one who loved music and sought a connection with others through it. The music he played wasn't flashy or performative. It was honest, intimate, and full of emotion, each note a reflection of the hopes, fears, and dreams he carried within him. Among the patrons was Clara, a young woman nursing a glass of wine and the weight of recent grief. Her father had passed away months earlier, leaving a void she couldn't quite articulate. When Kennedy's fingers touched the keys, she felt a subtle shift inside herself. The melancholy strains of the piano echoed the sadness she carried, yet within the melody was a spark of hope she hadn't realized she'd been seeking. As the music swelled and softened, her tears came quietly, unnoticed by anyone but herself. For those fleeting minutes, the piano became a bridge between two strangers, uniting them through the universality of laws, beauty, and human emotion. The club itself, small and intimate, presented its own challenges that night. A brief power flicker cast the room into semi-darkness, the candles on each table casting dancing shadows on the walls. A few patrons grumbled, worried the performance would end abruptly. Kennedy, unfazed, let his hands continue their gentle dance across the piano keys. The soft glow of candlelight reflected on the polished wood of the piano as his music filled every corner of the room. In that moment, he wasn't a senator, a future president, or a public figure. He was a human being creating something enduring in the face of uncertainty. The challenge wasn't political, but profoundly human: to carry on, to keep creating, even when circumstances threatened to halt us. The audience, mesmerized, had no idea who he truly was. Some guessed he was a professional musician, others whispered that he might be a composer in town for a brief tour. But the truth was far simpler, yet far more profound. Kennedy didn't need recognition, he didn't need applause, he simply wanted to share something of himself in its purest form. And share he did. By the end of the night, the room buzzed with admiration for the mysterious pianist. People lingered by the stage, throwing coins in appreciation, asking for an encore, and speculating about the enigmatic performer's identity. Kennedy offered only a warm, modest smile and thanked them softly before slipping out into the night, leaving behind no trace but the lingering resonance of his music. Walking through the rain-soaked streets, Kennedy reflected on the night. In a few short years, he would become a figure of immense historical significance, speaking to millions and shaping the course of history. Yet here, on an ordinary evening, he had touched lives in ways that fame could never replicate. One brief night of music, a handful of strangers, and an unassuming piano had created moments of connection, healing, and inspiration. Looking back, the story of that night teaches a timeless lesson. It reminds us that greatness isn't always measured by public recognition, achievements, or titles. Sometimes, true greatness is the courage to show vulnerability, to share your passion without expectation, and to connect with others on a deeply human level. Kennedy's piano performance, unnoticed by the crowd, leaves a quiet but enduring message. The most meaningful moments often occur in the spaces where no one is watching. It's a lesson for all of us. In our busy lives, in the pursuit of fame or recognition, we can forget the power of simple human connection. The smile offered to a stranger, the time taken to listen, the art shared without expectation. History remembers the names, the victories, the speeches, but life remembers the moments that touch the heart. That chilly night in Boston, in a little jazz club, John F. Kennedy reminded us that music, humility, and humanity can resonate louder than any headline ever could.